Hello and welcome to this video where we're going to have a look at the three main types of question which the SQA look at in terms of surds. The first one is where we combine surds, and generally the rules of algebra will apply here. For instance, we may have 2 root 5 plus 3 root 3 plus 4 root 5. Now, as you can see, that's so many times root 5, and so is that. So therefore, because we use the general rule that so many a plus another value of so many a equals that total value of so many a, we're going to combine the 2 and the 4 to give us 6 root 5. And then 3 root 3, that's different, so therefore that's going to remain as 3 root 3. So we've combined our two like surds together and kept our different surd apart to get my final answer, 6 root 5 plus 3 root 3. The next main task which you would be asked to do is to simplify a surd. And what generally happens here is that we're given a surd. So for example, the square root of 50. And what we're going to do is we're going to split it down into the square numbers, which are factors of those, and take the root of them in order to simplify that. So we notice that 50 comes in 1 times 50, 2 times 25, and a note that 25 is a square number. So what I'm going to do, I don't need to take any more square pairs because I've taken factors in pairs, and it means that that's then going to simplify down to the square root of 25 times the square root of 2. And because the square root of 25 is a whole number answer, that was then replaced with 5 and becomes 5 root 2. Another example of that is, for instance, the square root of 48. So if I think about going through the pairs of factors for 48, that's 1 and 48, 2 and 24, 3 and 16. Now notice that 16 is a square number, so therefore I'm going to replace that because that's going to be the biggest square which goes into 48. So that then becomes the square root of 16 times the square root of 3, and the square root of 16 being 4 is replaced and becomes 4 root 3. Now what happens in a situation where you don't quite immediately spot that that's the biggest factor? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to assume here that I haven't spotted that 16 is a square, and I've immediately spotted that 4 is in fact a square. So I'm looking for the square root of 48. So that would become the square root of 4 times, well, it's 4 times 12, so the square root of 12. So that therefore becomes 2 root 12. And the clever person is thinking here at this point, can I simplify? And the answer for 12 is that yes, you can, because that will be 4 times 3. So that's going to be 2 times the square root of 4 times the square root of 3, meaning that we've got 2 times 2 root 3. So therefore my total, sorry, the dot being times, of course, and that would therefore become 4 times root 3. The same answer here as I get here, so it doesn't actually matter either way. The last method of surd manipulation which the SQA tend to ask us for is where we're asked to rationalise a denominator. The maths community get quite upset if you leave a square root on the bottom of a fraction, so therefore there's a way of dealing with that. What we're going to do is we're going to start with an answer which we've got to some calculation, 2 over 3 root 6, calculator in maths mode has spat that out. So therefore we have to get rid of the root 6. The maths community do not accept that that's an acceptable and simplified answer, and you would lose marks for that in an SQA. So what we're going to do is we're going to create a fraction which is equivalent to 1, which is going to help us. Now if we square root 6 by multiplying root 6 by root 6, then that's going to allow us to get rid of the square root. So because we've got square root of 6 on the bottom, we have to get square root of 6 on the top. So that's therefore going to give me a somewhat simplified answer of 2 root 6 over 3 times 6. But notice we only take the square root part of it. We are perfectly happy with a 3 on the denominator. So we leave that alone. So that's going to give us 2 over 18 times root 6. Okay, and 2 over 18, as we know, is 1 over 9. So therefore, we simplify that to 1 over 9 times root 6, or root 6 over 9. Okay, I've taken on some feedback in this video that my writing had been quite difficult to see because I hadn't been writing in a very heavy thing, so I've adopted the use of a Sharpie. Please let me know in the comments if this is any better. Thanks very much, and look forward to producing my next video. Cheers.